1. Hi, just wanted to get an opinion on whether I'm in the wrong in this situation, or how I should have handled it differently. I've been working in retail for a long time. I work at a shop where we do household repairs. Things like minor electronics, remote controls. We also cut and copy keys. A situation with the customer was this. The customer, a woman in maybe her 50s or 60s, comes to me at the shop. Asks about copying some keys. I'm polite, she seems okay, everything is fine. Tells me very specifically, I want 1 copy of key A and 2 of key B. Sure, do it, done. Any issues you can come back, happy to help. Customer comes back about an hour later. My coworker initially greets her. Then she starts saying her keys don't work. I see her and I say, oh no, you had trouble. My coworker hands interaction over to me, seeing I know about it. The customer immediately starts getting a really tense sort of tone in her voice and manner. Starts telling me how I gave her 2 copies of the keys when she only wanted 1, and it's not even the right key, can't you see that? I'm confused, but I'm calm. I try to ask for clarification. There's a bit of back and forth between us. I'm trying to clarify. Turns out she's holding up not key A or key B that she initially requested, but key Z, a completely new random key, and holding up the 2 copies of key B and telling me that they're not the same key. I make mistakes. Sure. I've been doing retail long enough to put up with some stuff, but this was just really getting to me. She was basically telling me I was an idiot who didn't know how to do my job. The customer also just wouldn't move on from the wrong key thing. I was happy to just move on, but it was like she wanted me to admit I was wrong. I said to her still calmly, okay, yes ma'am, these are not that key, you're right, because you did not ask me for that key. You asked for 2 of this one, which is what you've been given. I just pointed out facts, reality. I was happy to help her with more keys, but I didn't do anything wrong, so she'd have to pay for more. Then she lost it. She yelled some non-verbal yell, snatched the keys from me, threw them on the floor of the mall, just about hit another customer that was waiting behind her, waving her arms about, then stormed off, swearing and yelling. I stepped out to refresh myself after this interaction. While I was gone, she came back to the store. My coworker was immediately threatened by her with the classic, I'm going to report you both to headquarters. Then, because of this threat, my coworker gave in and gave her more keys for free. Still haven't heard if she did report us or not. Did I handle this wrong somehow? I feel like I just literally pointed out facts. I never even used the words you are wrong to the customer, but because she maybe realized she was wrong, decided to throw a tantrum, and then threatened both of our jobs with complaints. Hellfreezer's note. No, the OP in this story is definitely not wrong. The one who was wrong was their coworker, who enabled this behavior. Taught the Karen here that if she acts like a child and throws tantrums, then she's going to get whatever she wants. She'll do it again. She's probably done it before. And she'll likely do it again at that store. 2. When I was younger, I was hired at a very small restaurant in a very popular shopping area in my town. My friend had been working there for a few months, and had asked me to join him since I was looking for a job, and he wanted to have someone there that he knew and trusted. Since I hadn't gotten any responses back from the other place I applied to, anyone trying to find a job for the first time should understand, I thought it would be a good idea. From what I heard prior to my application, the employer was very flexible and offered promotions often, which sounded bitchin'. To my surprise, I was hired less than a week after I interviewed with the owner of the restaurant, and I started working my ass off right away. Over the next 6 months of my employment, there were many things that set off alarms in my head, such as sanitation issues and the things my fellow coworkers did. Not even a month after I started working there, the owner dropped the professional act, if it could even be considered that. He had up and started handling food with no gloves on, even if he had not washed his hands before doing it. There were many other things that made this place hell to deal with, but All I'm saying is that there is a reason it's rated 1.3 on Indeed. Some context to put out there before I share the je ne sais quoi of my story. My friend who asked me to work there with him had quit 2 months before this happened. This restaurant was similar to a Subway, since we worked in a glass-shielded counter with many fresh ingredients, and during night shifts, more times than not, the owner was not there to supervise us while we worked, even though 9 out of 10 of the employees were minors. Now, on to the drama that I know most of you were waiting for. The icing on the cake of my employment at this shady-ass Chipotle wannabe. At the time of this incident, I was 15, and the girl I was working with was 19. The girl, Nikki, to say the least, was incredibly stupid. From the time I met her, I tried to be nice and have a good working relationship with her, but I should have known from the beginning that there was a snowball's chance in hell I would be able to make myself like this white trash of the highest order, especially since she would share things that would have made me die of shame. She was an oblivious bimbo that had no sense for danger or red flags, which got us into the situation that made me quit. It was a Tuesday. Why does shit always happen on Tuesday? Most of my shift was fine, up until a very intoxicated woman found our little corner of the shopping area and started making the customers nervous. I'm not going to lie when I say I was nervous as hell too. I've had to deal with my fair share of intoxicated people before, but this lady was something else. She was borderline yelling 95% while she was there, and was getting very touchy with the other customers. I tried getting Nikki's attention to see what we should do, because the lady was getting more and more aggressive as the minutes passed. Nikki, with her I'm immortal disposition, saw nothing wrong with what was happening, and even exchanged phone numbers with her. I tried to just keep my head down and get the lady's order done, so that she would leave. But at some point she turned her attention to me and started asking me to come with her across the street to share a bottle of wine with her when I was done with my shift. Don't get me wrong, I love MILFs. But since this woman was no Lady Dimitrescu, she does not get the privilege of putting me 6 feet under. After a few minutes of me using the excuse that I was a minor multiple times, I gave up on trying to get through to the lady, and retreated to the back kitchen so I could put a wall between me and this lady that was practically jumping off the walls. When I was alone, I texted my employer and noted my worries about the woman in the restaurant, but he, to put it simply, told me to get back to work. This made me angry because this situation was giving me bad vibes, and I was not going to die for a job that doesn't pay me enough. For those who think I might be overreacting with the use of the word die, did I forget to mention that customers had called the restaurant just to make sure that me and my coworker were okay? Yeah, it turns out that this lady had made so many people nervous that they asked if they needed to call the police for us. The absolute cherry on top, though, was when I heard this lady call my name from the front of the restaurant. Let me make note that our uniforms do not have our names on them, so there was no reason for her to know. Nikki told this batshit crazy lady my full name, and now she was calling me over to give her a hug. I peeked my head out enough to see her, and originally I wasn't going to. That was until I saw her eyeing the knife on the front counter. My heart dropped. I thought I was just imagining things at first, but I just kept watching her eye the knife over and over while she waited for me to join Nikki and come hug her. My first thoughts were, why was there even a knife on the front counter in the first place? Never mind one of the really sharp ones. That's when I remembered that instead of cutting stuff up in the back like we were supposed to, Nikki brought it out to the front like an idiot. Again, don't get me wrong, I understand that people make mistakes, and this one was common for people who had not been working here for long. But here's the thing, Nikki had been here only 1 month less than me, adding that up to a total of 10 months, and she was lazy. So not only was there a crazy lady in the restaurant at 8:30 p.m., but now she had access to a knife because of my dumbass coworker. Fucking Nikki. Thinking quickly, I grabbed one of the bins we used to gather dirty dishes from the front and went up to the counter, throwing it into the bin and shoved it under the counter and out of her reach. This is the part that actually scares me shitless. Yes, the fact that someone I don't know and don't trust was eyeing a knife while asking me to come close to her is nerve-wracking. But the actually scary part was that she looked disappointed when I got the knife out of her reach. At this point, I just gave her a quick hug and almost ran back to the kitchen to text my boss again. And again, he just told me to do my job properly. I cannot express how angry it made me, the fact that my employer did not care about the safety of me or my dumb coworker. The rest of that night was a blur, but I do remember that after I made the knife unavailable to the crazy lady, that she left quickly after, only cementing my thoughts that she would have used the knife if I had not taken it away. I left that night scared and looking over my shoulder constantly on my way home. I quit the next morning, when I had processed what happened, leaving no one to cover my shift the same night. My employer's only response to my resignation was a text message that read, "Okay." That only fueled my anger, and in retaliation, I took screenshots of everything that proved what happened and sent them to all my ex-coworkers. Needless to say, they lost almost everyone the next day. I didn't like most of them, but I do have to give them credit for their loyalty and what common sense they have. Last I heard, Nikki is still there, even though she has made more problems than anyone working there combined. All I would say to my ex-employer is, you play dumbass games, you win dumbass prizes. And now you're only left with the one shit worker. Have fun. P.S. to Nikki, I know your boyfriend, who is over 25 years older than you, is into young girls, but I don't think your age will be enough to keep him around, if you think it's normal for your coochie to smell like 2-day-old tuna. 3. I have an interesting customer allegedly coming back this week, and I'm focusing on calm about it. I have MS. Stress affects me disproportionately sometimes. She came in last week to pick up some books she ordered. She paid a deposit. I told her the remainder, and she outright said, "No, I've paid for it." It was aggressive immediately. I, of course, clarified it was only a partial deposit, which she denied, so I investigated the order, and nope. She used up a leftover gift card when I took the order to pay just over half the total. Still just over $50 remaining. My heart sank. Then commenced the longest, most awkward, figurative tug-of-war in store than on the phone. "I'm not happy." As I was investigating, I hadn't even said anything at this stage. This is a clue to either bad customer or attempted hustle. After I called my manager to see if they could get more information, and the customer was still pissed. They got angry and bored and left instructing me to call her and that she'd find her receipt. Well, she then called about 30 seconds before I was going to call her. Gross. I asked if she found her receipt. "No, because I don't trust you guys. I've been with you over 20 years. "All right, well, you've only paid for just over half your books." This woman then tried to wait me out on the phone to get her books without paying. Huge swaths of tense silence, interspersed with angry interjections, as my blood pressure increased. "I can refund your deposit onto a gift card for you." "Nope." I ended up repeating, "Is there anything else I could help you with?" She hits me with, "You could care a bit more. I can hear it in your voice." I lost it internally here. Like a part of me maybe died, so I waited a nice long time, breathed. Then I said, "I have to serve other customers." My manager and second-in-command were watching me shake on the phone. Customer, of course, is outraged. I hung up on her. I did. The conversation wasn't going anywhere. That is when you put down the phone. She called back a while later and spoke with my manager, demanding we fix the error in our system. And saying she called the gift card people. We happily sent her all our records and receipts that we pulled up from her account and transactions. Oh, and in the process called me a rude bitch who doesn't know what she's doing. My manager laughed when she told me. High fives when she located all our supporting evidence. Can't wait to see if my interesting customer comes in today. Oh, I thank God I'm not you. 4. The other day I had an interaction with a customer that led to me being able to say that one glorious precious line, "I am the manager." During shift change, while my early cashier counted down his drawer and my evening cashier counted onto her drawer, I was the only register open. My evening cashier brought her dog in for a few minutes before her shift began. In the brief moments when I was not actively ringing, customer paying by card, etc., I would pet my cashier's dog. This would be 5 to 10 seconds at a time, and was not slowing down my ringing. I am also known to be one of our fastest ringers, so while there was a bit of a line, it was moving at a good pace. A man came up to my register, already angry, with a huffed, "Finally!" and put down his 2 items. I greeted him and rang his items. He had a problem with the prices, though. According to him, the name-brand 2-liter soda was supposed to be $1, and the 18-pack name-brand toilet paper was supposed to be $5. So I escorted him to the aisles. He found all the items in, small store, not long to wait, to check. In fairness, it appeared our soda vendor misplaced the specific flavor of 2-liter soda the customer found, in front of a $1.25 tag. The toilet paper, packages half the size of the one the man had, were filling the home with one 18-pack, clearly moved by a customer sitting about 2/3 of the way into the $5 area. The entire way through the store, this man has been mumbling under his breath, insulting me, the other employees, and the store overall. Still, I was doing my best to help him out. We returned to the registers, and as I was starting to type out the in-store coupons to adjust the prices for him, he said, "Maybe if you weren't busy petting a fucking dog, you'd have time to do price changes." I was already sick of him and his insults, but that pushed me over the edge. I cancelled the transaction and told him he needed to leave the store. He insisted he wasn't leaving without his items, getting aggressive and starting to yell a bit. I put them behind the register and told him to leave. He demanded to speak to the manager. I felt myself having to tamp down the hugest grin. I was practically levitating. This was my moment, the one I always love. "I am the manager," he yelled in anger, just a guttural sound of rage, and then told me he wouldn't be leaving without his items. I told him I would be calling the police because he was now trespassing. Listeners, this whole adult man did not move from my register, so I could ring out customers until a minute or so before the police arrived. I thought my customers would be upset with me, but one by one they came up to my register. They all asked me things like, "What was wrong with that guy?" and "Was he seriously insulting you about toilet paper?" So that was reassuring. 5. This happened a long time ago, before this pandemic started. My mom and I were at Walmart shopping for stuff, possibly some grocery too. My mom finds a shirt she wants to go try on, so we head to the changing room. I'm waiting for her to try on the shirt and just looking at my phone while keeping an eye on our cart. Mom asks me to go get a larger size as the one she'd picked up was a bit tight. So I get up and go find the bigger size for her. I find it and hand it to my mom. I go back to where I was sitting and I hear,
"Excuse me."
I look up and I see Karen standing in a different changing room, holding up a shirt of some kind of clothing.
"Here, get me a different size. It's too small for me."
Sorry, but I don't work here."
"Well, you helped the other woman. Why wouldn't you help me?"
I was dressed in all black, not the Walmart uniform. I helped her because she's my mom, and I don't have to help you if I don't feel like it. Besides, I don't even know where you got that from."
"I got this from over there."
She points to a random direction.
"It's not that hard to find. It's right in the opening, so be nice and go get it for me now."
"Sorry, but I was told to watch the cart and stay here in case something happens to our stuff. But you can change back and get it yourself." Karen angrily huffs and slams the door shut hard. She might have slammed it too hard, because I noticed the door to my mom's changing room shake a bit. A few minutes later, my mom comes out wondering what happened and what the yelling was about. I explain everything to her and we walk away from the changing room. She puts the shirt back because she couldn't find one that fits her, but as we were leaving, I recall hearing a rattling behind us. So I stopped, looked around and even waited a bit for the rattling to start again. Mom noticed that I stopped, asked if something was wrong. I thought I heard something rattling. Mom said maybe it was the cartwheel, since there's a lot of these wheels that tend to rattle loudly and get squeaky after a while. But we had to hurry because we'd been here much longer than we should have, and Dad might be getting mad. So we just walk away, where I eventually spot an actual employee and let her know about Karen needing help in the changing room, which she responded with, "Thanks, I'll head over and see what she needs." My mom and I head over to the grocery section, grab a few items before heading to the checkout area. While we were waiting in line, we hear over the PA system, "Can we get maintenance over to the changing room? We seem to have a bit of a problem over here." We start laughing over the call. We can only assume what the problem could be, since we haven't seen Karen leave the changing room. Cashier rings up her stuff, and we head home for the evening, not wanting to hear what happened, since Karen might accuse me of not helping her and possibly claim that I trapped her in the changing room. Since my mom was in a hurry, we saved ourselves from Karen's full wrath. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Adventures in Fast Food and Retail, episode 182. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Before you go, please do poke the like button and share the video with friends and family. And if you'd like to get the videos a little bit earlier, then you can support me through my Patreon for as little as $1 a month, or more if you like, which is linked in the description. You'll also find a link to the Hellfreezer merchandise store, where you can get yourself t-shirts and other bits and bobs. You can also make donations during streams and videos like this one. And while you never have to do this, I do appreciate it, and a big thank you to those of you who have done so already. I don't actually do the list of thank you for the Patreon supporters, but I'm happy to do it if people want to, so if you do, let me know and I'll put your name on a list and we'll flash it up on screen in future videos. Okay, let's see, I think that's everything there, so let's move right along to Hellfreezer's question of the day. And today's question is, what is the most pointless, unproductive, and unnecessary rabbit hole you've gone down in recent years? For me, it was watching videos about how to make perfectly clear ice cubes. I have no reason to do this. It literally accomplishes nothing by doing this. It still works the same. It makes things cold, whether it's clear or not. It is purely an aesthetic thing, which they will charge you a ridiculous price for in clubs and bars. And for the longest time after, I think I'd watched maybe one video or something, so for the longest time after, YouTube kept giving me recommendations for other videos, like bartenders doing that thing, and I just out of curiosity, I'd watch them to see if there was anything new. It was probably the biggest waste of time in my life, because there's no purpose to it. At most, I might use some fancy ice cream molds to make round ice cubes, or ice balls, if you will. And I will probably buy some in the shape of TARDISes in Star Trek com badges at some point, but that's just because it amuses me. End of the day, just regular ice cubes. Cloudy or not, get the job done. Let me know what you think in a comment below. And with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.